So the idea back to that debate was, without there being a God, then it all just becomes perspectival. And because humans have such limited perspectives, the most we're ever going to get to is little t truth. But I think most serious scientists I know of would agree with that, that we're learning more data, we're not making absolute truth claims. And I appreciate that. You can see how offensive it would be for a scientist, though, for a religious or a theistic person to make absolute truth claims. And that's very much a part of theism, right? This idea that we can know with certainty different things. What theists need to remember, though, is we know with certainty by faith. We don't know with certainty by sight. And so that's the faith piece that a naturalist is certainly not going to entertain. Besides, it's a gift from God. How can you entertain what you do not have? And that's what I tell my atheist friends. It's just because you haven't experienced what I've experienced doesn't mean it's not true. And you can certainly choose to disbelieve my experience, but when you start telling me what I have or have not experienced, that seems to be a bit beyond your empirical knowledge base, because you do not know subjectively what's going on inside of my head. And that's part of why, when we talked about Kierkegaard earlier, I love him so much. And it's a very different type of argument for the existence of God. It's a faith-based argument. It's not based on evidence, even though I believe there's lots of evidence out there. It just doesn't work for you until you actually believe there's a God. And that goes back to Augustine's, we believe in order that we may know, that belief precedes knowledge. The faith comes first, then all sorts of things become reasonable. But without those God goggles on, or those Jesus goggles on, then of course you're going to be seeing a very different world. And the atheist is going to see just a one-dimensional, physical, material world. You're born, you live, you die. Any sort of eternal life you may have, if you want to call it that, or living beyond yourself, would be passed on through your genetic code. That's how things live on, not their own individual personality or spirits. You're simply replicating and sending your genes into the future. And I don't know, that's kind of a dark life for me. It's so physical, it's so carnal in the truest sense of the world, where everything just comes down to to its physical context or being. All right, any other comments or questions on that? Okay.